Hello, today we'll discuss how to pick the right sealer.
The choice depends on several factors. One is the surface finish. Here we have a brushed limestone slab.
We have several options for sealing. Two of them are stone oil,
An oil-based sealer. And the second is color intensifier. A solvent-based sealer with the added feature of color enhancement.
It's not surprising that we choose stone oil for sealing. Historically, oil was the first known sealer. In ancient times, the Romans used olive oil to impregnate the stones they carefully installed.
We will only use these two products on unpolished, matte stone surfaces. These finishes come in various types. It can be a matte finish, which reflects light, but only about 15%, while polished finishes reflect around 85%. A finish can be brushed, bush-hammered, meaning a mechanical process, chiseled, another mechanical treatment, or flamed in granite's case, which is a thermal process. None of these finishes are shiny or polished. Depending on the porosity level, we can apply various impregnators on these types.
Let's start with stone oil. As usual, I've carefully divided the slab into 3 parts. One piece is untreated, one treated with stone oil, and one with color intensifier.
The most important thing to know when sealing with oil impregnators, especially on porous surfaces, is,
with an oil-based impregnator, is that the layer must be very thin.
If you apply too thick a layer, it'll look like the stone soaked in oil. Therefore, we apply it very thinly on the surface with a sponge.
I changed the order a bit, saying we'll leave this one free. We'll leave the one on the right free.
Space over there.
We spread it as evenly as we possibly can across the surface. We also go carefully over it again with a cloth.
So the layer is very thin. And the excess is practically so soaked up by the cloth, almost completely absorbed. This is what we got on the surface treated with stone oil, clearly showing the subtle protective effect it provides. Now let's try treating the second surface with color intensifier. As the name suggests, this product enhances the stone's color.
Here we can work with a bit less caution, naturally.
Because it's a solvent-based impregnator, a classic type, which we spread on the surface, and as usual, we make sure to even it out. It is very important not to leave excess impregnator on the surface. Too much impregnator or sealer, in general, excesses don't sit well with stone surfaces. Eventually they become oversaturated. It leaves marks, stains that later have to be cleaned off. Sometimes you need to reapply the impregnator, but if we spread it properly, slowly and carefully, the entire process will succeed, and we'll be able to precisely control the absorption level. If the surface has low porosity, then We need to apply an extremely thin layer to avoid saturating the surface all at once. If it's more porous, 2 coats might be necessary. That's why every layer, including the first, must be very thin. This is how the surface looks treated with both products. We let it dry, allowing the impregnator to penetrate about 1/5 millimeters into the stone. Then we'll see the results. The surfaces we just treated with the 2 impregnators have dried. The impregnator has absorbed into the stone. Here we have stone oil, here color intensifier, and here there's no impregnation at all. Let's do the water test. The most common test in this situation is to carefully check how effective the impregnation was. We place a drop of water on each surface and observe how it behaves. If the drop stays tight, as it does in both cases, on impregnated surfaces, the impregnation worked and a second layer isn't needed. Generally for surfaces with low porosity, matte or brushed, a second layer is rarely necessary. If the surface isn't waterproofed, you can see the bubble is starting to get bigger. Let's do another test. You can see what's left. So if in the first case a stain stayed on the surface, in the other 2 cases, the water beaded up nicely and no stains are visible anywhere. Right, here you go. We wipe the surfaces. After passing over the untreated surface, you can see it got stained, but the other 2 didn't. We also noticed that on the surface treated with color intensifier, the color really did deepen compared to the untreated surface. What happens to the surface treated with stone oil? It darkens a bit. That's what stone oil does. If you have a surface made of marble, travertine, limestone, or any kind of light-colored stone and want to darken it a little, you can use stone oil. Apply it in a very thin layer, so the surface doesn't end up looking like an oil puddle. The number of layers depends on where it's installed, the stone type and the finish. This impregnator does its job very well. Let's do a water test next. We spread water on the surface in small drops. You can see they hold their shape well on both sealed surfaces. And the drops don't hold their shape well on the unsealed surface. Let's wait a few hours patiently to see what happens for sure. In the meantime, water is absorbed by surfaces, both sealed and unsealed, and evaporation naturally occurs on all 3 different types.